and you can easily make peppermint alcohol or glycerin tincture for nausea and vomiting. Making a tincture with peppermint for vomiting, you want to make sure you absolutely have the strongest tincture possible, because you want to be able to give a person the least amount that you have to keep them from throwing up again. So you want to take some freshly dried peppermint. This was dry. I picked it 2 days ago. It's dry. You really want to tincture it up just as quickly as you can get it dry. And also, I'm not using the stems. I'm going to take it off the leaves and just use the leaves until it's not crispy dry, just more of a dry wilt. Okay, I set aside 2 cups of my peppermint leaves to make my glycerite with. And so this is about what I had left of the rest of my peppermint. Now I've ground it up in my little blender here. Now I didn't powder it, I just chopped it in really small pieces. Okay, now you see how much I have. There's not that much in there, but I have marked it peppermint alcohol in today's date. Now I know I've got somewhere around 1/4 of a cup, so I want to start by putting 1/4 of a cup of vodka in there. So then I'm going to use another 1/4, which is going to be a total of 1/2 cup of vodka. Now because this wasn't bone dry, I'm not for sure how much of this is going to hydrate, but I do want to make sure that everything is flowing freely. And right now I'll put a lid on it. I'm going to come back in a couple of hours and kind of check on how much is hydrated to see if I need to add more vodka or just leave it like it is. And now I'm going to get started on my glycerin. Okay, now when you're making a glycerite, you're going to use food grade glycerin, but you don't use it straight. You need to mix it with boiled distilled water. Now I have 14 ounces of glycerin here. And 6 ounces of water. And this is a 7-to-3 ratio. Now the 7-to-3 ratio is normally used for fresh herb material, and even though this is dried, it's kind of more of a wilted than a really dried. So I'm using the fresh ratios. If this is something that had been dried for quite a while, I would have used the dried ratio, which would have been 6-to-4. Okay, so I'm just going to give this a good stir. And then I'm going to add my fresh dried peppermint leaves. Now, if I were doing it the old-fashioned method, I would chop these up like I did with an alcohol. But because I'm using the magical butter machine, I don't need to chop them because this will chop them for me. Now if I was using the sealed simmered method, I would have chopped them up. So I'm going to add this, just add this to my magical butter machine. And then add my glycerin mixture. I'm just going to kind of stir that up in there. And then I am ready to go. I just need to attach my head. I'm going to plug it in. Now I'm going to set this, because this is leaves and it's aromatic, I'm going to set this for 130 degrees. And I'm only going to set it for 1 hour because I'm really wanting to catch the essential oils in the peppermint. So all we've got to do is set it and forget it. And I'll be back in an hour. We'll check on this glycerite, and then we'll also check on the alcohol tincture I've got going. Okay, now after this ran for an hour at 130 degrees, then I let it set for another hour and let it just steep. You can really smell that peppermint. And now we're ready to strain it. I think I'll use a funnel for this. This is running right through. Okay, I want to let this drip a little more, then I'll put it in a dark colored bottle. I love the Magical Butter filter press, and I'll leave a link in the description bar. But you can easily use anything you have, such as a regular strainer, a reusable coffee filter, cheesecloth, or jelly bag. Take a few drops of your homemade peppermint tincture for vomiting if you cannot hold anything down. Now, if you can hold more than 2 drops, you might try 5, but 5 could be too much. You're just going to have to kind of experiment with it. Now, if you're just really nausea, you might take a whole dropper full. And remember, this is going to take about 2 weeks to make. Use your peppermint glycerin if you can hold a little bit more down, 1/2 to 1 teaspoon. Now, peppermint glycerin can easily be added to a glass of water or your favorite tea and sip throughout the day. Now, if you do not have a magical butter machine, I do have videos on making herbal glycerin in the old-fashioned way or the newer sealed simmer method, which you can also do in 1 day, but will need a water bath canner. Now, I do not have a video in particular for peppermint. Now, this video is for goldenrod, but you're going to use the same principle. And once my peppermint regrows, I'll try and do a video on peppermint. Now, I do have a new book out on making homemade medicine and lotions using the Magical Butter Machine. I have it in paperback and Kindle. You can scan the QR code, or I'll leave a link in the description bar. Now, this has no cannabis recipes. This is for herbalists to make herbal remedies. And you might be an herbalist if you are growing peppermint. Like, subscribe, and share so you don't miss any more lessons on making herbal remedies and how to use herbs and other natural healing.